Cube sale is right around the corner, coming to Maplestory within the next 2 weeks, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you should be using this cube sale as an early game player, mid game player, late game player, and then finally as an end game player. I'm also going to be going through each character to show you what the gear kind of would look like at this point in the game as an early, mid, late, and end game player, so you guys have a better idea where you should be and how you should be executing this cube sale. And if you guys are curious what cube sale is, it is exactly what it sounds like. It is a sale on cubes, and this cube sale is going to be 25% off all cubes, which is a great event to take advantage on, but there are some points in the game where it's actually inefficient to utilize a cube sale, and we're gonna go over that right now. So first things first, let's start with an early game player. If you are around this stage in the game and your gear is looking like this, I would use all of your saved money that you have been gathering from hopefully doing Ursus every single day, Maple Tour, and then your daily and weekly bosses. I would use all of that money and try to get your Meso drop gear so you can start earning more money while you're farming and while you're training. Now, the minimum target to get for your Meso and drop gear is 100% Meso and 60% drop rate on your gear. This is gonna allow you to get max money from mobs while farming. And remember, you can only get these item drop slash Meso lines on your accessory items. Now, what are accessory items? Accessory items are all of your rings, your pendant slot, your face and eye, and then your earring slot. I would aim for one line on each piece of these items. And remember, you also gain 24% drop rate from holy symbol, so if you don't hit the ideal target, you can use that holy symbol as a backup. And also, one thing to note, especially if you are an early game player and you're not really sure how these systems work, you can only get those Meso and drop lines on legendary potentials, so remember that. And to get to the legendary potential, you are going to want to use bright cubes. Those are going to give you a higher odd of tiering up, allowing you to get to legendary, allowing you to hit a Meso or a drop line quicker. If you have extra after you hit the ideal 100% Meso and 60% drop rate on your gear, I would try and cube your WSC, your weapon, secondary, and emblem, and try to get 2 lines of attack, boss, or IED. Now, scratch the weapon, because at this point, I'm assuming you're probably using Fafnir. Don't even bother cubing it, as it's going to get replaced soon enough. Now, moving on to mid-game. This is where it gets a little bit interesting for if you should be using this event. Now, if your character looks somewhat like mine does on the screen right now, at this point in time, I would honestly just skip cube sale. I think working on your star forcing is a lot more valuable than cubing gear. It's going to give you significantly more gains skipping this cube sale and just working on a 5, 10, 15 and getting all of your items to 21/22. Now, let's just say you really want to cube on this cube sale. If you were thinking of cubing anything, the only valid excuse I would say is trying to go for hybrid Meso drop lines to achieve that 100% Meso and 200% max drop gear. But keep in mind, getting 100% Meso and 180% drop is perfectly fine, because that last hybrid drop line to achieve that 100-200 can cost you a lot of money. Take it from me, I've gone 50 bill without seeing the drop slash drop line. It can happen. You're better off just saving your money for 5, 10, 15 after you get 100% Meso and 180% drop gear on your gear. Once again, try to refrain from using this event. I'm telling you, you are going to be much more happier using a 5, 10, 15 and getting those gains on your star forces. One last quick thing, if your gear is looking like this and you really just can't refrain from cubing, one thing that you can do is, if you don't have any gear at legendary, you can tier that gear up to legendary with bright cubes and then just get 2 lines of stat. Or if your gear doesn't have 2 lines of stat, cube it to 2 lines and then stop and move on from there, save the money, and then spend it on the 5, 10, 15. But moving on from mid game, we are going to be entering late game. Now, this is what your character should probably look like at this point in time. Pretty much finished with Star Forcing, but you probably have a bunch of fake 3 lines at this point in the game. Now, what do I mean by fake 3 lines? I mean potentials that have 12%, 9%, and 6%. If this is you, I would highly take advantage of this cube sale and get all of your gear to real 3 line. This is going to give you so much value. You're going to gain a ton of damage, and it's very cheap to get fake 3 lines to real 3 lines. Average cost off of cube sale to get a level 150 item to 30% stat is going to cost you 6.5 bill. On this event, it's going to cost you around 4 bill per accessory to get that 30% stat. This is super good value, and you're most definitely going to want to take advantage of this. Also, make sure your WSC is good to go. Make sure it is the optimal WSC for your class. Obviously, you got to take into account whether or not your familiars have boss lines. I'm assuming now that familiars are in all regions, everyone will eventually have boss fams, but make sure your WSC is optimal, because that is going to be giving you a ton of gains as well. But once again, at this late game point, make sure your 3 lines are done across the board on all of your gear. Now, moving on to the end game, there are a ton of options that you can do at this point, and honestly, it's not too clear whether or not you should be doing certain things. Your character probably is looking like the one on the screen right now. You're pretty established, and you have all real 3 lines and finished gear Star Forcing wise. At this point, if you want to, you can start double priming your gear, going for 13%, 10%. You can try to double prime your WSC and pitch boss items, but keep in mind, this can be very expensive, hundreds of bill, and it really is not going to give you that much final damage. This is where the real min-maxing happens, and at this point in time, I don't recommend it, especially if you've never double primed before. It can take hours and hours, and at the end of the day, you could walk away with nothing. What I would recommend if you are at the end game, I would honestly skip it, especially if you're not used to it, and I would work on Legion champions. I would put all of the money that you were going to go and cube that slime ring and try to get double prime, and I would put it into a Legion champion system. Now, Legion champions are going to give you so much more final damage, and the Legion champion system is actually coming to GMS very soon. What you could do is save that money and Star Force a champ, cube a champ, whatever you feel like doing, but that champion is going to give you much more value than double priming that superior Golux ring. Here's the thing, all 3 options are valid though. If you want to indulge in the cube sale, you're an endgame player and you've been saving for a long time and you just want to have fun, there is no harm in spending a bunch of money on the cube sale and potentially not hitting or potentially hitting. It's always fun. I always enjoy cube sale. Jake and I have done a ton of these. We've double primed on every single one of them. It's always a fun event. We will be taking advantage of this cube sale once again, going for some double primes. Even though it's not the most efficient thing, it's fun, and that's one thing that you should always prioritize in this game, is having fun. You don't always have to do the most efficient thing, because at the end of the day, being as efficient as possible might just end up burning you out of the game. But anyways, guys, that is how I would advise you to take advantage of this cube sale coming up once again on May 17th. That is coming in 9 days. It's going to be happening Friday late at night, starting early Saturday morning, and I believe it's going to be going on for 3 days. Have fun with the cube sale, take advantage of it, and with that being said, I hope this video helped you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.